Hey, y'all. So, as you know, we've been chatting baby prep things. We've been chatting everything about this journey. And you already know I'm a businesswoman. So I'm always, bringing in clients or on TV or doing this podcast. Like, I've got a lot going on. And what's been interesting is as I've been taking this pregnancy journey, I've been seeking out resources that are just fiercely positive. And it's because we already know motherhood is hard. This isn't my first little one. I've done the parenting thing while juggling a business, but there really has been an overtone that I've seen of being told that, hey, be prepared to set your life on the shelf. That once this baby comes, you're going to have to sit your life on the side for a couple years, and, your life, your dreams, everything kind of comes secondary. And while I can appreciate that my babies are always number one in my life, that is not the most encouraging thing to tell someone who is older, right? So I know what it's like to be me for so long and an entrepreneur and a business owner. And I've been reaching out to my friends and my resources, people I know who have done it and done it well and done it better than me, to ask them how they've managed to do it. So what's great is I'm inviting another girlfriend to the couch to hang out with us today. And she's amazing. I love her. I love her babies. She is one of the most amazing dynamic women I've ever met in my life. And when you hear how she has made this happen and what she carries while she does it, I think you're going to get that powerful encouragement that you need as well to know that it is possible. So I'm so grateful to welcome Candace Mitchell, CEO of Myavana, Forbes 30 under 30. She's got great skin. I mean, literally everything about her is trustworthy. So I'm thankful that you are here today. Thank you, Candace.
I am too. So good to see you.
Yeah, so good to see you. So first things first, I just want to lay the groundwork because I think that oftentimes we might say, oh, well, she doesn't have this thing to deal with, or, well, she's saying all that, but her situation's different from mine. So I just want people to know how much you carry. So you're the CEO of a hair tech firm is kind of how I want to call it, right? Because it can plug and play in a lot of different ways. So can you tell us a bit about Myavana?
Yes. So Myavana is a beauty technology company. And we actually invented Hair AI, which can take a photo of your hair and instantly analyze your unique hair type.
Wow.
And tell you exactly which products are best for you.
You've been doing this for years. Like that's the part people don't know is like AI is like new conversation, but you visionarily, I'm not kidding, over a decade ago.
Absolutely.
You were talking about AI and people, I remember, because that's when we met, people didn't know what you were talking about.
They did not. No, it was definitely, I was in the future and I was telling everyone, look guys, no more trial and error. We are all out here trying to figure it out, but there's actually a science behind how products react to your hair. And I knew that my background is in computer science, by the way. And a lot of people don't immediately realize that, but I knew that the industry was headed this way because of personalization, retail e-commerce, data analysis, all the things I was studying at the time. So we just ended up being ahead of the market, and we've been in research and development for over 12 years now.
Wow. And that is when I met you, because one of the things that I remember thinking was, it's funny because when I met you, I invest in companies. When I first met you, I was not an investor, and what's interesting is when I first met you, I thought she's early to the market.
Yes.
And my heart went out to you because I saw you explaining. I mean, you hit the pavement, girl. You were hitting the pavement trying to help these people understand. And no one understood, but except you were getting the visibility, but I don't think you were getting like some of the funding or backup and results like you're getting now. So I remember you were everywhere, all the events, everything. But at that time you were, I think, single, no kids, no married.
Yes.
But working hard, girl.
24/7.
Hard.
And it was just, again, what you have to do as an entrepreneur, right? You have to pitch. You have to get in front of your audience. You have to find ways to reach your market. And at the time, the natural hair movement, we were having all the meetups. We were having, and that's when I met you. You were
events,
blogging. And it was, everywhere. So getting the word out was just like what we had to do.
Yep.
But actually I didn't close a formal seed round until this year.
Which is, so let's talk about that, right? Because, we're also both God girls, and that's something I talk about here is talk about having to wait 12 years.
Listen, I felt like Joseph, y'all.
Listen.
In the pit. Like just having to believe in the dream that God gave you. And it's something that convicts your heart, your mind, your spirit. And you have to find ways to sustain yourself through the journey. It's really a journey of faith, But at the same time, God is giving you pieces to build at a time.
Oh,
So you have to be comfortable with focusing on what's right now and stop having so much anxiety about where you think you should be. Because you see those headlines, you see such and such person, like, they're doing this event, got this award, they're on this magazine, and you're just sitting there like,
this doesn't make sense because Lord, you said, right?
Exactly.
You're sitting there a lot cuter and nicer than me. I'm like, Lord, you said. Okay.
Exactly. Like,
what
I
is
know what you
happening?
said.
Well, and also, I mean, you're 12 years, sort of beating the pavement, trying to get word out and support, and also coming out of pocket because, like you said,
Yeah.
a seed round, for those of you who aren't familiar, is you're basically getting investors who are saying, oh, this makes sense. We think this is worth more than we're putting in. So we're willing to give you potentially millions because we know this is worth potentially billions.
Exactly.
Like, that's how serious it is. But it's the same conversation that you were having then that you're having now, but you had to wait for the world to catch up
exactly
to where you are now, because you can't escape AI now.
No, exactly.
It's everywhere.
It's changing every industry.
Unbelievable.
And we have to figure out how to integrate with it. That's why I studied human and computer interaction, because it's really a partnership. Technology is really meant to make our lives easier, allow us to offload things that are manual, allow us to automate things. And so there's so many positive uses of it. So I was just thinking, how can technology make hair care better? And it's really just understanding our unique hair. Like, that's been the biggest thing. Like, everyone's doesn't have like an afro kinky hair. Like, they're intricacies, right?
Absolutely.
Based on your ethnicity, based on like even your children's hair are different from your own.
That's so true. I mean, I'm in a household that's like the United Nations.
Exactly.
I have a Hungarian husband, babies I didn't birth, one I'm about to birth, my own hair. So it really does matter to find a product, either one that works for all of us, or maybe there are slight tweaks, and then there's also what we've done to our own hair. So my natural hair versus my hair when it has been, bleached, dyed, fried, laid to the side is a different conversation. So you've created tech that helps people with that.
Exactly. Yeah. It customizes your regimens, as you change your hair, change your hairstyles. So you don't have to go on the scavenger hunt anymore of trying to figure out, okay,
wasting time,
to use.
wasting money.
Exactly. So eliminate all that, because at the end of the day, you just want to look and feel good.
Yes.
You want to feel your best. You want your hair to look like how you want to express yourself in that moment, right? And that's different for everyone.
It is different for everyone. And I'm excited that you are finally getting the visibility. And honestly, Candace isn't going to put it out here, but y'all, we're talking an over 5 million seed round.
Yes.
Which is, I am not surprised. It was always going to happen.
I know.
That is without question. It was the type of thing where I was like, literally don't give it up, because it made sense.
Exactly.
It was just about when it was going to catch up. So I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you.
Yes. Thank you.
Of course, you're deserving. But all that being said, you never let up either. So let's talk about life behind the scenes. Because like I said, this is about positive motherhood, right?
Yes.
So I know what it's like. I came into entrepreneurship before I had all my babies. You came into entrepreneurship before the babies. Yeah. You came into, entrepreneurship before a partnership. I had an early partnership, but I was still beating the pavement with that youthful energy,
Yes, you were, girl. You were
different energy.
The internet up.
You know what I mean? Now I come home from a conference, I am lights out. Okay, do not talk to me for 24 hours. I need to sleep. You know what I mean?
No, you were on 10.
Yes, I was out there working, right?
That,
and you were too. So during that time frame, you got married, you moved, and I'm gonna just spoiler alert it so y'all can understand the things she carried before the 5 million showed up. Twins.
Exactly.
Walk me through what it felt like take me first to where you were during that early season. Did you feel, because this season's really about being unguiltable, how did you feel? Did you feel like you had to prioritize a relationship, prioritize your business as your baby? Like during that season of singleness, because you've talked about that in some of your platforms as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about where your head was there?
Yeah, my head was definitely focused on my business. I mean, it is my first baby. And I, again, felt convicted about bringing it to life, right? And when you don't have enough resources to do that, you have to be so creative. You have to, really battle against all odds and figure out, what to do. So I would say in that process, some things that got to me was feeling lonely. Because, entrepreneurship is very lonely, right? But also when you're single, you feel like you don't even have anyone to share the burden with. Because my team, had dwindled at the time. It was really just me for a while. And I will say my saving grace though was I did start to prioritize God.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realize now is when you're single, it's really a time to discover yourself, who you are, what you're called to do. And I think so often we try to rush the process of, okay, all right, God, I need a partner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or all right, God, I need this to pop right now.
Yes.
But God is like, oh, I'm still developing you. Like we have so much further to go, but you don't realize how much your own internal process of becoming is so critical to your future. And so sometimes we jump ahead of that. I will say that. And so I feel like at that time I was just kind of jumping ahead, like, all right, Lord, can we move this along?
Yes,
like,
yes.
And so that's where things kind of start, getting interesting.
Sure.
Because the flip side is sometimes you can't determine the timing of motherhood.
Of course, also true. Well, so that's part of it too, is like, so, you didn't become a mother at 26, or 28, as we often feel like we have to.
Right.
So, and it was because you were birthing other babies, you know what I mean? Business wise. Did you ever feel, especially with the singleness, any guilt or any external pressures as you're watching other people get married and, people who don't have businesses or people who aren't, how did that feel?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't, to be honest.
You were unguiltable. I
was because I'm like, I'm on a mission right now.
That's right.
I am. And I think it's okay to be that way. I think it's okay to, I think that everyone needs to know what their personal mission is. Like, do you even know that? Like, let's start there, because one day God told me, he was like, do you even know who you really are?
Oh, that prayer, Lord, show me myself. I'm not ready. I don't want, please.
Listen,
I'm not ready. It's too much.
No, if you have not faced yourself, you're not ready to do anything.
Yes.
That you're begging God for. Right. So that was like step number one. But I think in that process, it was just like, okay, I want to make this happen. But at the time, I felt so stagnant that I was like, okay, well, I need a partner. Like I was just
something
like, okay, this is not it.
Sure.
Like, and we get to those moments where you want to give up. Like, and to show you where I really was, I was trying to sell my company.
What? Yo, this is news to me. It's funny because I had a moment too where I literally I had an offer on the table, 8 figures, and I was ready to sell. That's bananas that you were going to sell this company.
Yes. No, the day I commented on your Facebook status, I was waiting on an email from my company to be acquired. I was ready. I thought that it was it for me. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, like, when again, you can feel like you want to give up. You can feel like you're ready to let it all go. But at the end of the day, I truly believe God has the final say.
Of course, always.
And God was just like, no, we're going to keep going.
Wow.
But that's just kind of where I was in that moment.
So you were really like basically willing to say, honestly, I'm going to shut this down and pursue a more traditional path.
Exactly.
Yeah, just like, and I think all of us who have ever embraced entrepreneurship or even motherhood sometimes, we're just like, can I just get a 9-to-5?
I know.
Can I just get PTO? Can I just get my regular every 2 weeks,
Exactly.
And not knocking it, because there is, look, we need workers. We need people who are interested in doing accounting and that type of work. But also, if you've been called to a mission, like you said, being obedient is important. And that's not easy. But the call of, do I need to have a family? Can I have one or the other?
Exactly.
So let's talk about that.
You have to weigh
it out, right? So let's get to that. So you do meet someone, you do end up getting married, you do end up pursuing that. How did you, because this is the thing I'm struggling with now, is like the minute you start going over these milestones that I think are kind of more universal, right? Having a baby, getting married, whatever. That's when you start having people be like, are you ready to like settle down? Like that for somebody, there's some sort of mental expectation around who you are supposed to be. Did you feel any of that? Like,
I did.
Put the business down now, girl.
Yes,
like,
I did. And I really want to start to deconstruct that.
Please do. Please do. Because that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, because what I know now is we have really been programmed to think that we're supposed to accomplish things in this sequential order and that, there's like these roles that we're taught to assume that have nothing to do with who we uniquely are and what our purpose is. Because what we've been conditioned is to basically run a capitalistic society We've been conditioned to thinking that. So even as an entrepreneur, right, you think that you've broken free to some degree, right? But why are you still thinking that, oh, if I'm not married and don't have kids by this time, then my life is obsolete?
And listen, y'all, she is speaking on a different level, and I know some of y'all are already thinking it. You are affirming what I think a lot of us are feeling, but confused about sometimes. Is anything that I've ever, and we get this messaging reaffirmed a lot. Is anything that you've built, does it even matter if you haven't done the house, the kids,
exactly?
The blah, blah.
Why were we taught that? Why were we taught to only value ourselves if we assume these certain roles, which at the end of the day fits a very patriarchal society?
That, and also if we're performing in those roles in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, oh, you can be the CEO and a mom, but if you miss the baseball game, are you actually good at
exactly.
anything? And it's like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you missed the baseball game because you were, doing an acquisition, the first of its kind that was blah, 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 billions. And if you were a man, that wouldn't even be a conversation.
Exactly. Yes. And realizing that we're supposed to live integrated lives, like not do this or do that, right? And for our society, a lot of women are not really conditioned to assume those type of roles in business either. So why is it only, driven by your gender in terms of what activities you should or should not be doing?
That's it. So for you, when you were saying to yourself, okay, I'm in this chapter now where I'm having my family and I'm getting married, did you feel like, okay, there's a little bit of that, put the business down, or was it always something that you knew would have to live side by side?
Well, I knew that it had to live side by side. And actually my prayer to God was, I want to be the fullest expression of myself. And my business is a part of that. Like, I believe that the businesses that we create are vessels that are a part of our DNA, our purpose, and the reason why we're here. Like, part of my purpose is to create Myavana and to innovate the hair industry. That's my DNA as a computer scientist, as a woman who loves hair, as someone who's passionate about empowerment, who wants to build wealth. Like, that's just a part of who I am.
That's right.
I can never put it down. I can never put it down. But we are pressured to put it down. And I did feel that pressure.
Almost.
You're expected to.
It's like, there's almost like a shock if you don't.
Yeah, you're expected.
And I can tell you, this is, again, why I wanted to have this conversation and do it publicly too, because I think that like, I'm just waiting for people after the baby comes, people start clocking. Not you back at work, not you traveling, not you on a plane, or they start counting. Like, I used to run into this with my other girls. Girl, you are never home. First of all, you are not in my calendar. So you don't actually know if I'm home or not. Sometimes I post things on later.
Right, you don't know when I'm posting. You don't know where I am right now. You don't know
where I am right now. But nevertheless, people start clocking and there is too little questioning of, why am I even clocking this?
Yeah.
No one asked where the dad is,
exactly.
No one asked that. No one asked that. Or when I was going through my separation during my divorce, people would say, you're in LA a lot. Why aren't you with your kids? They're with their father.
Right.
I don't,
exactly.
If we were a military family and he was stationed for 6 months in Germany, you would not be asking me where I am. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's just, you are completely right in that expectation. So your babies are here then, right? And so now you've got twins. And I want to get down to some nitty gritty, right? Because I am a few months away from this being my very real reality. In my brain, my 40 years old, I know more of my life without birthing, than I do. I'm like 6 weeks, I'm back at it, right? Everything, every mama, okay, right? So I'm like 6 weeks, I'm back at it. I have my team, I got everything organized, whatever. Realistically, what was that re-entry like for you?
Well, I will say I was very much still connected to my business. And it's a personal decision.
It is.
Right?
No judgment. I'm asking because you like me, Candace. I'm not, this is my other child. Even if I'm going to say, hold on for a second, I still got to check on you.
Yes.
So what did you do?
So here's the thing. You have to decide what kind of life you want to live as a mother. I would say that's number one. A few decisions that come into that are things like breastfeeding, right? Like, because what you're managing in those first few weeks is now your body now being a source to your children, right? And then emotionally, mentally, psychologically, physically, all the recovery. I would say do not rush recovery. And you could feel rushed to get back to work or even rush to get back into the swing of things. But I think everyone's recovery time is different.
Sure.
Some women's, it may be 6 weeks. It might be 6 months. It might be a year. You might feel completely different after you pop out.
Right.
Kid,
I mean,
right?
this is what I've heard. I've heard that, you know, for some women, they're like, after the baby came out, it was kind of like, you know, you're excited, you want to be with your child, you're treasuring those moments, but you're also kind of bored. Because it's like you know, there's feedings, there's, you know, but it's just, it's a very basic routine.
And it's,
you know?
it's a very quiet and still season, but I think it's the most beautiful thing.
There's merit to that as well.
It is so beautiful. I don't think there's a more precious time having experienced it. And that's why I want women to don't feel pressured to do anything, but to know, how do you want to live? And I think these are the times that you start to really think about that.
Sure.
Because we're always rushed back into how things were before.
Next thing. Yep.
No, I personally feel that if you truly connect with yourself in this process, you will understand that, you know what? I do want to be a present mother in this way. I do want to, but I think all of those things start to come to you and you should have time to process that.
That's hugely helpful because I think, again, I'm really hoping to platform, as I've been saying, you know, families are made lots of different ways. I have literally adopted, I've annexed, I've invited, I've birthed, you know, at this point, the definition, I've divorced, I've remarried. Like, you are not going to tell me that a family only looks one way.
Right.
And I really feel the same way now about motherhood, you know, and I want there to be more conversations around, look, did you breastfeed for a while, then decide I'm going to formula? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because that was what worked for you, just because it was too hard, you know, not because you had to.
Exactly.
You know?
And I had two.
Right.
I had to have supply for two.
Listen, supply for two. Like, I'm telling you, it's real, you know?
Whoa.
And so just keeping all that in mind, you know, I'm so glad we're having this conversation because what I found when I have started being vocal about that, like, I will not be made to feel guilty about any form of how I feed my kid. It just, I'm not even hardwired like that. Like,
anything. I mean,
you know,
even if how you do feedings, even if, do you stay up in the night or do you have a night nurse? Do you have a nanny? Like, let me tell you one thing is that it takes a village. I know now, motherhood, it takes a village. And even if you go back to how we lived in earlier civilization, we lived in villages,
yes,
right?
We did.
Why have we been so conditioned now? We're so individualistic. And that's what puts more pressure on you as a mom because you feel like you have to do everything.
Yes.
No, girl, get you some help.
Get you some help.
Get you some help.
Well,
you need
also,
relief. You're going to need relief. I'm just going to tell you that. Yeah.
We're going to need it. And also keeping in mind that, like you were saying, we're used to villages. That's how everything was supposed to be designed. But the expectations on us have not changed, even though our villages have now dissipated.
Exactly.
So here we are, still expected to show up, clock in, but also now be the breadwinner, pay the bill, hit these other marks, be a boss lady, while also still being the mom and all this with less of a village. Like, it's just not realistic. So
it's not.
As you decided, so this is the part that I don't know if people have known, you know, but as you start following Candace on her journey around social media, follow Myavana, you will see what I'm talking about here. You've experienced some of your biggest growth in this. It's not really postpartum anymore, but like post babies, post, you know, that window. I am floored. It is counter everything we've ever been told. We are all told that postpartum is when you spend 2 to 3 years recovering yourself and figuring out who you are and at a total loss and just prepare yourself to expect the least and whatever. This has been the opposite for you.
It has been.
It has been truly a blooming season for you. Is there anything that you can share? Because Lord knows I need to hear it that will let me know. Because God has already spoken things in my life. And I'm like, Lord, what you're saying is cute, but the timing ain't looking like based on what the people are saying. Yeah. But clearly he does what he wants because he has the final say. So walk me through. What do you think you did in this sort of postpartum season that still allowed you to really reap the harvest? Or do you think it happened naturally because you actually stepped back a little?
You know what? What happened, because here's the thing. When you're up with your baby at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., it's like such delirious time periods. But again, the quiet stillness, I personally just reconnected with God in a whole new way, because it was like I entered a different dimension. And I think that we have to understand that, yes, like we live on this earth, but there's a very active spiritual realm that really guides us, that we can operate in, which is through prayer. And it was in those early mornings, again, feeling delirious, but the stillness, I really believe I started to hear God's voice truly. And because I was, on maternity leave, pulled away from social media, pulled back from the team, the day-to-day operations to a degree, you're going to feel a level of stillness that you've never had before. You've probably never had this in recent years, just with how fast you've been going and everything that you've been dealing with, right? Processing, right? And so I really believe that it became a blooming season because I tapped into really the divine purpose of this season that I was in. And I was able to realize that, no, I don't have to put anything down. I'm actually becoming more of who God created me to be. And that includes being a mother.
Wow.
But it also includes, I even, poured more into ministry. I found ways to just, I was like, wait, y'all, something's going on and we need to come together and talk about it, how to get in alignment with God. So I just feel like birthing is like one of the most beautiful gifts that we can have as women, right? And it should ignite you in a certain way.
Oh, it does. I'm already fired up. You can't tell me nothing.
Yes.
I was like, now I can make a whole finger and a liver. Girl, I don't want to hear anything from anybody. You did double.
Tell me nothing,
you couldn't tell me anything. It's like, I don't have the time. Okay.
Exactly. So it should really ignite this power in women. And it's like that feminine power that we have that allows us to do all the things, but it starts to become in a way where it's all synchronized. Like, imagine you just, again, being your fullest self, whatever that means, right? I don't care if you love baking cupcakes.
Right.
You discover you love baking cupcakes after, caring for your little ones, and that becomes your thing. Whatever it is, you can really put your magical touch in it in a way that just really caters to people, transforms people, right? That's our role as entrepreneurs, is we create things to make people's lives better, right? Through our products, through our services.
That is the hope. That is the goal. Leave it better than we found it.
Exactly. So I think motherhood just takes it up another notch.
And I love hearing that. And that is, I think, the messaging that we want to hear more of. It is still hard. We all know that. It is still, there are moments that are very not glamorous at all, and like you said, that 1 a.m. moment is delirious, where you're up and you're just kind of like, all I can think about is sleep, and there's a deprivation going on. But, the Bible even talks about how when you're deprived, right, then what comes to the forefront, and there's something about those times and those moments. And I also think that, having had, my other children, there's something that happens as a mother where when and I can't imagine this with a baby. I imagine it's going to be next level, but you really do set yourself aside in those moments, and there is a purity about it because you cannot be at the forefront. So I could have any type of day, and if I am in front of my daughter, and it could be literally, I could have the worst news in my life, she's not going to see it on my face.
Right.
It is this amazing separation you're able to do. So I imagine what you're describing, at 1 a.m. when you are fully present and you're able to really listen and you're still, that it can be really beautiful. And that's something that I think I can look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to encourage that, because again, what can quickly turn into like postpartum depression is really because of the emotions that we don't know how to process, or even sometimes not having that help, right? And so that's why it is so important just to stay connected with yourself and connected with God, because He is the source of all things. So whatever you need, that you can talk to God in that moment and He will hear you.
Yes.
And that will really push away the isolation,
the concepts of lack.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that is, sometimes you get those dark thoughts.
It's
too.
not real. It's a lie. It's not real.
Exactly.
You're not alone. So.
Exactly. You're not alone. And I guarantee you someone can help you through what you're going through. And I will say one person I could not do this without is our nanny.
Oh yes, no, real life. Listen, let's tell the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that's what your help looks like, is you have a real team. Yeah.
I had to be real with myself to say, okay, how do I want to live? I do want to maintain my business.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to live a full life. I want my children to inherit this.
That's right.
Right. And so what does that look like? I need a nanny,
Mm-hmm.
right? Full time. And that's just what my village looks like.
That's right.
And she is such a gift, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to realize that every person is called to do something too. And she's very much called to
that's
children.
a category. That's a real thing.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So to have someone who can help carry the load, get them to school, you know,
Absolutely.
take them to the playground,
Well, and
you know.
support the dream. She's part
Support
of the
the
Myavana
dream.
story as well.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Ugh.
So just figure out what you need
Incredible.
and build your tribe. Yeah.
Incredible. So this has been, when I tell you, so enriching to my spirit. And I'm
Mhm.
sure a lot of, you know, mothers that have already gone this journey are saying like everything she's saying is right, you know? And then for
Mhm.
those of us who are either embracing it or thinking about it, we have a lot of older moms who listen, you know,
Mhm.
and are starting that journey. One of the biggest fears we have, you know, as a mom in our early 40s or late 30s is, I already know who I am in so many ways. And this is
Mm.
something that is so unforeseen. So I think you've given a lot of peace and guidance, and I'm grateful
Mhm.
because you
Mhm.
are such a great resource for that.
Mhm.
How can we support you? So like, tell us more about what's next for
Mhm.
Myavana. Like,
Mhm.
because I mean, what you've already accomplished, like venture capital funds are not given to Black women. That is a statement I can say
Definitely
out
not.
loud as a fact. It is rare, 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 rare. Like,
It is.
so you did the unthinkable already, and you've done it so soon,
Mhm.
which means where is God taking you next? Do you have a glimpse? Can you give us a glimpse?
I know, yeah, because now the vision is in reality.
Right.
So
right.
this is where it gets fun.
Yes, I know. You're like the hard part, and I was like, not 12 years of the hard part.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
now
I'm like,
it's fun.
okay, now we're in the future. So, so we are rolling out Myavana in salons, beauty supply stores. We've launched with Ulta recently. So now you're going to get personalized guidance wherever you shop. Wherever you get your hair done, you have that healthy hair assessment. You have a stylist you can trust who knows your hair, who knows what to do. And Myavana becoming the new way that we take care of our hair. And you can download our app for mobile guidance too, so that you have it right at your fingertips. And so that's what I'm excited about, to finally put it out in the world, right? And that's like the biggest accomplishment. I cannot even describe what it feels like to, again, have a vision and have to build it brick by brick. You know, you have the blueprint, and to be able to finally accomplish at least phase one of that, right? So I'm very much an innovator, a builder, and just had to keep my head down and focus. But what came out of that was two important things: me gaining the knowledge to help other entrepreneurs, but also understanding the spiritual journey that we're on as entrepreneurs. And so I do ministry through the shift, which has been so impactful because, again, we're kind of missing like the spiritual understanding of what we're going through, right? And even as business owners, we have to really tap into that, even what's happening in our world today, right? And how, again, to stay sane and to really understand, like, okay, what is my next strategy?
That's right.
There's a whole other side of just, again, being connected with God and understanding how you need to move. So I always love catering to that. But follow me. I have so many really exciting things that, again, finally ready to roll out after being in the lab, after having a couple buns in the oven.
Yes.
And now they're almost 4 years old and
Still
just
babies. Still
think-
doing. You're doing this with 4-year-olds.
Still-
That's still unbelievable. Like, wow.
Yeah, because I think that it's important to stay present with your kids
Mhm.
while they're young, especially. I remember reading the ages 0 to 3 are
Yeah,
the most
formative.
formative years
Mhm.
of a person's life. And I really wanted to be present with that. But again, having the balance to still build towards my dreams, because you're meant to live your dreams.
Yes.
You're not meant to sacrifice one to have the other. That
Yes.
God wouldn't allow us to sacrifice who we are if it wasn't a part of his plan
That's right.
to have a family, to have the business that you've been, you know, building over years, or to even have the life
That's right.
Like, what do you want your life to look like? And it's not the traditional 9 to 5. You
That's
can
right.
have it all, but, stay fully integrated is what I like to call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so powerful, y'all.
Mhm.
When you see Myavana in Ulta, just remember that came from a mom who has been at it and is still
Mhm.
currently at it.
Yes.
And you are no different and capable as well. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. We'll have all your details in the show notes so
Yes,
that everyone can
yay.
keep up, follow you, be inspired, cheer
Absolutely.
you on, support all the
Mhm.
good things. And thank you so, so much for pouring into me.
Yes,
I feel
I'm
fired up and
happy for
encouraged
you.
too,
I'm
because
glad.
this baby is for real. Like, it's really
Listen,
happening.
I cannot even
I
imagine.
can't
This
even.
baby is about to be
Let's see. Well,
phenomenal.
look, I receive it. I receive it. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.